Welcome to Everlasting Talk. Hello, welcome to Everlasting Talk. I'm your host, Evaristo, and this is the Biography series. Today, we're talking about Pancho Villa. So excited about this one. As a Mexican American myself, and from Durango, my parents from Durango, Mexico. Yes. Okay, guys. Especially, this is a special Cinco de Mayo episode. Obviously, Cinco de Mayo is not Independence Day. It's more of a day where Mexican forces defeated the French in the Battle of Puebla, and a surprise victory. But we're making this day special just for Pancho Villa. Pancho Villa, to many, was a hero for his actions during the 1910 Mexican Revolution, and to others, he was a villain, a criminal against the United States. Pancho Villa was born Francisco Villa on June 5th, 1878 in San Juan de Rio, Durango, Mexico. Actually named Jose Dorteo Artego Arumbola. He's from Durango. My family's from Durango. This is exciting for me. He was the oldest of 5 children, claiming to be the son of Agustin Villa, a bandit. At the age of 16, he left Durango for Chihuahua, right next door. It's not that far from there, to kill his sister's rapist, which he did, and escaped to the hills. He would become a thief and a bandit. He was soon captured and forced to join the federal army or face a death penalty. At the time, Mexico had the death penalty, so he either had to go join the military or, get executed, which was, wow. Nowadays, you're like, what? He joined but soon deserted because he felt it wasn't his best interest to be in there. He would no longer go by Arango, but Pancho Villa. The Mexican Revolution would begin after the 1910 elections, when Francisco Madero was arrested by Porfirio Diaz, and which began on November 20th, 1910, sorry. Villa would fight back and beat the federal army, but lost in the next battle. So, yeah, he lost several battles. President Diaz would resign on May 25th, 1911, after many losses to Villa and his forces. Madero would take over, but was murdered in 1913 during a military coup. Pancho Villa was very angry and decided to fight Madero's successor, Huerta, which was the one that decided to go ahead and declare that military coup. Villa was a brilliant man on the battlefield and kept advancing. He would be rewarded as governor of Chihuahua. He allowed films to be made, and about 30% of the profits would go to his army. So he would allow all these people to film him. So if you ever see, if you go on YouTube, there's so many videos of him like in his forces, just in video, just going by, and that's how they were being allowed to do it, because they would have to give profits of that film to Villa's army, which is very smart, because then he would go ahead and finance his army and then go against Huerta's forces. Villa would actually take Zacatecas, and Huerta left the country on July 14, 1914. The Civil War was well underway, and he actually went into alliance with Emiliano Zapata, which I'll talk about him down the road, probably around Independence Day of Mexico, so September 16th. I'll probably talk about him then. Cementing stronger forces and cementing a greater unity to defeat the Huerta's army and unite Mexico. The United States would no longer give support to Villa, and in return, he would attack Columbus, New Mexico, in return for the United States supporting his rival Carranza. He also attacked other U.S. cities, and the United States did not look fondly on that and decided to send troops, but they couldn't catch him. He constantly fought, and finally seized on July 28th, 1920, and then on July 20th, 1923, he was actually on his so he decided to subside his fighting, because at the time It's been fighting for a long time already. It's been already like a decade of fighting, since the Mexican Revolution started. So it was kind of like his time to retire. They actually gave him a bunch of land and a property to stop fighting. So he kind of okay, I'll stop fighting. Just give me this and give me that, and I'll be fine. So after that, he just went ahead and ceased fighting. But unfortunately, 3 years later, on July 20th, 1923, he was driving in his car around the neighborhood because he was a guy of the people. He knows a Robin Hood of the people. And actually, someone went in front of his car, shot 40 rounds into his car, hitting him in the head and the chest, killing him instantly. He died instantly with the headshot and chest shot. Jesus Salas Baranza claimed responsibility for Villa's murder. Pancho Villa is a legend. He's been seen in so many movies and shows. I think Barranza himself was arrested and got a life sentence. But yeah, Pancho Villa. If you ever, actually, for myself being a Mexican American, a lot of the music has him in the lyrics. There's uh, there's there's a song called El Ochenta Cargas Suicidas. There's Descansa General. That's about Pancho Villa. There's books. There's The Life and Times of Pancho Villa by Frederick Katz. There's Pancho Villa biography. There's so many books. The Villa and Zapata book. There's a general book, The Face of Pancho Villa. So yeah, so it really depends on how you look at him. Like obviously, for Mexican people, or we see him as a hero. He decided to go ahead and fight against tyranny of the Diaz administration and decided to go ahead and do the Mexican Revolution. And it was very important for Mexico because it solidified you know what Mexico is today. There'll be other books as well. There's books on the Mexican Revolution itself, the Eagle and the Serpent, Intervention, Insurgent Mexico. So so much information about him. Like he was I consider him a hero because he was a guerrilla fighter, and shortly into the war, he became like the Robin Hood. He became an important military general, and he was the first one to actually defeat the government forces. He would have hundreds of men, probably, I think at the time 500 to 600 men, and you know, he would actually end the reign of Porfirio Diaz, I think Porfirio Diaz was a dictator himself, so it was great to see him, do that. So, and becoming governor of Chihuahua is just pretty much like saying hey, we forgive you for being a bandit and a criminal, and here you run your own state. Chihuahua is a pretty big state. If you compare it, it's pretty big. It's like right now, it's on the border. It's touching the border of the United States, so it's like right there. Um, so I don't know. I mean, he was known to. He was a ladies' man, so he must have had a lot. I think he had several children. Who knows? I might be related to him. Being from Durango myself, my great grandpa. Who knows? But Durango's right below Chihuahua, so it's right there or next to it. I forget sometimes. But yeah, have you ever seen a lot of the old school Mexican corridos or ballads are about Pancho Villa and his armies, about his generals, about the Mexican Revolution in general. And, I think, he had, like I mentioned, had several children. I think he still has surviving grandchildren now. So his legacy lives on. So I definitely like Pancho Villa. I always enjoyed. There's a movie by Villa. I think Villa, and it's Antonio Banderas. Obviously, Antonio Banderas is not Mexican, but hey, it's okay. You represent him correctly. So most of you didn't know his real name was not even Pancho Villa. It was Jose Dortillo Artengo Arumbala. So it's kind of good to learn that stuff. So it's definitely interesting. This guy I thought he was great. Obviously he did he did commit he did attack the United States, in several cities, but overall, I would consider him a guy, a person that revolutionized Mexico and made it what Mexico is today. And the revolution itself was just more info on that. I might just do a separate biography episode on just the whole Mexican Revolution from start to finish and how that worked out. I might start doing that too. That'd be kind of cool. Let me know. But yeah, this is Pancho Villa. I went, you know, he was one of the most influential military generals, in the 20th century. In my book, I mean, and I always, especially from Durango, he's from my parents' home state. So hey, I'll take that anytime. But yeah, anything about if anyone does more research, um, and check out the books I mentioned, check out the films. There's obviously biography films like the ones I told you about where he allowed them to record. So you can see those old school films and you could see it for yourself. I know today's, be for Cinco de Mayo, but just because this is the day that people pay attention to Mexico the most. Like people confuse it for Independence Day or something, but hey, just for for people to learn who he was, and obviously you could either see him as a hero or as a villain. It's up to you. It's your decision. Just obviously the research I gave you and the books I gave you as info. Look into those as well. But uh, this will be definitely one of the most exciting episodes I've had because it's definitely more closer to home to me. So, well, thank you so much, guys. And like they always said, Viva Mexico. And this will be this for this episode. Obviously, always check me out on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and at Everlasting Talk. You can always leave a review, and your feedback is always helpful. And until next time, you guys, I'm out. And like I mentioned, Viva Mexico and happy Cinco de Mayo. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Everlasting Talk. For more content, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Everlasting Talk. Thank you.